If we move to Schedule 3, and we need to, that's going to open up a massive amount of research in cannabis. And our events, by the way, in New Jersey, where the largest pharmaceutical research corridor lives, they will be a big driver of that research. What's happening in academia, and there's more and more universities offering research and doing studies on cannabis, and then bringing that into the commercial sector. In a mature industry, typically somebody's doing research, it gets applied in a commercial capacity, and that commercial capacity then benefits back to the research community. And we haven't folded them into the commercial side of the industry and the research side, and they have to live hand in hand. And this is where product innovation happens. This is where genetics and cultivation technology improve.
We are back, and we are here with George from MJ Unpacked, one of my favorite conferences to go to during the year. How you doing, George?
Doing fantastic, Dimitri. Great to see you, my friend.
Yes, I see you. You got the memo on the matching sort of like teal color outfits.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Yeah. So when is MJ Unpacked this year?
Well, as you can see right over my shoulder here, our next event's going to be April 9th, 10th, and 11th. It's going to be held in Atlantic City. We've done two very successful shows in New York. Our move to Atlantic City was based on a number of factors. New York's really obviously struggled to kind of launch its market, almost kind of, I think, tipping it into, more of an Illinois model than a Washington model, maybe unintentionally, because they've just struggled to get their market activated. It's coming online now, and it's an exciting time for New York, but it's also an exciting time for New Jersey that's really cooking with gas. You got Ohio, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Connecticut. And as you know, I mean, being we do our show, MJ Unpacked, the really the most core unique value proposition that we offer and kind of differentiate ourselves from all the other shows in the industry is that attendance to our event is exclusively for licensed operators with title and manager hire, active investors in the industry. And now we're also going to be expanding to include the research professionals. And I'll get to that in a minute on why. But, we're not looking to be the biggest event. We're not going out and saying we're the premier event, which is such a goofy moniker to people, everybody wants to use. We want to be the most valuable. And by being the most valuable, this means that, people can be really efficient with their time and have conversations with people who are actually operating in the space, understand what they do. They're not looking to get in the cannabis industry. You don't have to spend 2 hours educating them on what you do for a business. They know what you do because they do it themselves. And that's been, we've gotten tremendous feedback on that model and the value that provides to the community.
And when you say licensed operators, I love it because all the brands are there. I call it the brand show, and that's exciting to me because I'm a big fan of brands. I think they have the best interests of the consumers and patients in mind, are most concerned about their reputation, their stories. But when you say licensed operators, what does that entail? Does that include retail?
Yeah, of course. And when we started the show, we realized that the cannabis industry didn't need another show because there was at a point, I think, one every other week, right? We wanted to provide something different. And so when we talk about licensed operators and what we focused the show on when we started this is the fact and the theory and the thesis that we believe that the end game for the cannabis industry, the trade show that's going to be the most important, is going to look a lot more like the Natural Products Expo, the Bar and Nightclub Show, the Fancy Food Show, or the Consumer Electronics Show. Brands are going to be the hero of the journey. These are the billion-dollar opportunities that are in front of us today. And keep in mind that the U.S. is still by far the leading global exporter of brands, right? I mean,
absolutely
everything else. So what happens here in the United States is going to have a global impact at some point in the future.
And I think sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So our focus has always been really kind of on bringing those brands and retailers. Now, when we say brands, I also consider cultivators a part of that because once they put their product in a jar, it's a CPG product. But at the same time, the cultivators are also an agricultural industry and have a different need set. And not only are they a CPG brand, they're also a raw material provider to some of the other brands in the space, right? If we don't have cultivators growing weed, we don't have a weed industry, period. It all starts with them. So this is one of the big things that I wanted to share with you today, Dimitri, is that, going into this next event in New Jersey, like we're expanding our focus so that we're going to have 3 distinct areas on the show floor. One's called the Garden. That's going to be focused on cultivators. We're going to have some craft growers that are going to be exhibiting with us. We'll have a dedicated lounge area for the garden. We're going to have brand central. That's what you've been used to seeing at our show, where we have the brand showcases. We have retail technology, brand technology, packaging. And we have a brand lounge in that space. And then we're going to have the lab. And the lab, the reason that we're bringing in the lab community and the research science community is a couple of factors. If we move to Schedule 3, and we need to, that's going to open up a massive amount of research in cannabis. And our events, by the way, in New Jersey, where the largest pharmaceutical research corridor lives, they will be a big driver of that research. Some of it will also be plant-based medicine, not necessarily pharmaceutical. But there's a huge disconnect in our industry right now of what's happening in academia. And there's more and more universities offering research and doing studies on cannabis, and then bringing that into the commercial sector. In a mature industry, typically somebody's doing research, it gets applied in a commercial capacity, and that commercial capacity then benefits back to the research community. And we haven't folded them into the commercial side of the industry and the research side, and they have to live hand in hand. And this is where product innovation happens. This is where genetics and cultivation technology improve. And we all know that most states have been racing to the bottom on price and cultivation. And it's not a question of will prices go back up. It's can you be profitable at lower sustained prices if you want to survive.
And as you're speaking about the show, I always try to go to shows that expand the intellectual understanding of the evolution of the industry. And it's been 10 years of 300 shows, and I like how you've curated this show to make it very specific. It's definitely one of these go-to shows. Doesn't matter what time of year it is, doesn't matter where it is. The quality of individuals, the quality of thought, and the quality of leadership that you experience and acquire there, it makes an absolutely go-to show. I think it's one of the 3 most important go-to shows. Again, doesn't matter what time of year it is, doesn't matter where it is. It's just you get that quality of individual. And this is a complicated industry. I mean, we're talking about Schedule 3, and you're on the forefront of this. And this is how right I think you are. This morning I was talking to our team, and I'm like, I think it's going to go Schedule 3 in April. I really, truly believe that. And that Marijuana Moment came out with something today that says that Biden, percentage wise, is exactly what I've been thinking about for the last few weeks. And so I believe that in April 9th and 10th, 11th, we'll be in Atlantic City. And I think we're going to be talking about what does this all mean? And if you're not at this event, talking with 400, 500, 600 individuals from the cannabis industry, I don't know how many people will be coming, maybe it's thousands. If you're not there talking and sharing and discussing and learning about the ramifications to your business of these new Schedule 3 moves that are going to occur, and I believe in April, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Thank you for the kind words on that. First of all, I mean, I see other events that are out there, and you got a couple of different models. You got people that are going into as like a state-focused event and kind of doing this early stage stuff. You have a very unqualified audience there. They're having classes on how to open up a cannabis retail store. Like, you can't learn how to open up a cannabis retail store and operate in this complex of an industry in an hour session that's being taught often by a paid consultant. I'm just going to be honest there. But yes, getting back to this, I mean, our expectations that, based on, the 2,500 people we had in New York, we expect close to 3,000 professional cannabis operators to be at our show in New Jersey. And again, it's peer-to-peer learning is always going to deliver the highest value content to anybody. I'm not going to listen to you tell me how I should run a business that you've got no experience ever actually operating, unless, it's just human nature, right? And it's about, having that thought leadership about being able to share best practices. I mean, there are landmines and monsters that jump out of closets for everybody that operates in this industry. And if you can learn from somebody what to do in those situations before you have to deal with it, so that you can deal with it quicker, it's going to be a huge competitive advantage for you.
That New York show. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, and this is where, again, MJ Unpacked is the only show that's bringing brands from across the entire cannabis ecosystem into a central location. Now, is it comprehensive? No, because not everybody's operating outside of their own state markets, but this is giving people a landscape of what's happening on the national front for form factor innovation, for brand leadership, for packaging, solutions, et cetera. And this is where you get a kind of, have that 30,000 foot view. If you're operating this industry and not thinking about the future and about the fact that this will be a federally legal federally regulated product at some point, then I think you're in it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, and you never know what happens to these things. I remember the New York show was popping. We did our podcast there, and stuff like, and this didn't really happen, but what happened to other brands. But you have the Clear over there, you have Seth over there from the Clear, you have Josh from Timeless, for example. I'm using them as hypothetical examples because I don't want to share anybody's thing. But then you have them talking about the manufacturers that they're using in different states and formulating weird partnerships about sharing information about manufacturers and stuff. So it's definitely you never know what happens to this show, but these shows, but when you get the quality of individuals together, networking, talking, chatting, doing business, doing deals, it just great things happen. Let's talk about the flow of this show. What day does it start? How's it going? You said there was a Monday night welcome.
Sure. Yeah. So, and that's one of the key things, like, you brought up though about like those partnerships that happen. I want to touch on real quick. I mean, there's a brand out here in Washington, came to our show in New York, signed a deal with a big MSO to expand into 10 new states, right? Like, I mean, that was game changing for him. To people like Matha, one of my favorite up and coming, brands in New Jersey with Butter Cake. Like, she built her partnership with Azuka to use her technology to formulate a product that is going to be highly efficacious and quick acting in when she goes to market and have that brand support. So building those conversations aren't going to happen when you have kind of this block and tackle Home Depot kind of booth aisle experience. And as you've been to our event, we try to make things very experiential, which is why we love having, meet us unshackled at our event, because you guys bring energy and like you bring the cameras and you talking to these people and sharing this wisdom out into the market. This is really, we create a lot of soft seating areas because we know that people don't get deals done by walking down the aisle and talking to them. They get done when they sit down and have a conversation, establish trust, understand needs and expectations, and then they do business together, right? So we think about this psychologically through the entire journey for everybody coming in our door. And most importantly is we're really focused on outcomes, right? Like our entire team is committed to understanding our clients' objectives and finding ways that we can help with that. And we're not just trying to sell people a booth and leaving them, to fend for themselves in a sea of unqualified attendees. It's about value and it's about success. So back to our event. So our event's going to be the 9th, 10th, and 11th.
You'd make a good witness.
Yeah,
listen, you remembered the question.
I'm super excited about the Hard Rock's is a fantastic hotel. I mean, we did an event in Detroit. It was at the Motor City Casino. I know there were some complaints that there wasn't a lot of restaurants and dining options there and things that kind of extend the show hours later, hanging out at different bars in the hotel. The Hard Rock's a beautiful property. It's right on the boardwalk. We've got great rates for our attendees to help keep costs down at $89 a night there. Monday night before the show starts, we're going to actually have a welcome reception that's being hosted by Dope CFO and UCS advisors. I always get that backwards. And they're going to be hosting a welcome reception so people can connect up the night before and meet with people. Networking starts the minute you start traveling to the show, right? The second thing
Absolutely.
that we'll have, and then Tuesday, listen, Wendy, I mean, every time that she goes on a trip, she's like, oh, I met these 3 people in the cannabis industry on the plane, and it's like, or at the airport. Tuesday is really the first day of the show, and that's going to be focused. We're going to have 4 distinct conference sessions this year. Again, we're going to have the garden, the brand central, and the lab on the show floor. And in the conference area, we're going to have 4 tracks. One's brand retail. One is going to be focused on cultivation. One's going to be focused on research and science, and one's investing in finance. And those run from 10 a.m. to 5. That morning, we're also having an M&A networking breakfast. So if you're looking to acquire a business or sell a business, sign up for that breakfast. It's going to be hopefully worth your while. We bring the people in the room. You guys got to do the work to do the business. That night, we'll have an opening night reception on the show floor from 5 to 7, some free drinks and some free foods, and then let the attendees go out and have fun. There'll be probably a lot of groups like yourself and others that are going to be having some hospitality events. And then Wednesday, we'll have some half day of program for each of the 4 tracks, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. And the exhibit hall will be open from 10 to 5. And then from 7 to 11, we're partnering again with Fairchild, James and Dave, good friends of mine. I worked with them at Dope. They'll be doing our official after party. It'll be consumption friendly. We're going to have brands that will be doing some sampling there. And we got some tricks up our sleeve. I'll hold back for now. And then Thursday will be the last day of the show. That'll be open from 10 to 3. It'll just be the exhibit hall. And people like to kind of go on the first day and they want to explore. They want to kind of get their notes. They want to huddle up. And then the second day, usually they want to go drop the paper, so to speak, right? That's when they go and they close the deals and they finish up the business that they started on the show floor. So I know people, it's always tough to keep people to the last minute of a show. But, one of our exhibitors in Detroit said, I absolutely hate when people pack up early. He insisted on standing in his booth and not packing up until, 2:59 p.m. And the show closed at 3. And he said that actually somebody came in about 15 minutes before the show. He was one of the only people standing in their booth. And he ended up closing the biggest deal of the show with this guy in the last 15 minutes of the show. So don't ever tuck out quick. And remember, you can do more business by being on our show floor in 10 minutes than you will in a week at your home office.
If you're not networking in the cannabis industry, I don't know how you're learning what's happening. So well, maybe you're watching Meat Unshackled. So George, closing thoughts. And by the way, earlier, that word you were looking for was premise. Since we're both like Ivy League graduates and et cetera, I just thought I'd correct you.
I graduated from the School of Hard Knocks, buddy.
Yeah, you were talking, you're like thesis, you're like drifting around here, just giving you a hard time, brother. Much love what you do. The group of people, the people that come together at your conference, extraordinary. I think it's going to be one of the go-to conferences for the next 15, 25 years as the cannabis industry evolves, twists and turns. Maybe one day we'll be hosting you here in Phoenix. Maybe it will be in Vegas, but wherever it is, people should attend. So closing thoughts and one last invitation for our audience. And we will see you at MJ Unpacked, but go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much again. Really appreciate it. Dimitri, you and I have been around the space for a long time. I consider you a good friend. We always have fun times together hanging out. And those are the moments you remember, right? Is when you get to hang out with your tribe. And there's kind of a need for your kind of professional self to have a Maslow's need hierarchy of feeling a sense of belonging and being in the room where you don't have to sort out who's who, that you know that everybody in the room, somebody that would be a person you want to talk to, makes a difference. I think, you've known Kim and I for a long time, our entire team. I mean, what you see is what you get. We really deeply care about this industry, and we feel that the industry deserves a better event that can actually drive greater outcomes and greater success. MJ Unpacked, you can find us online. Registration's open. We have our early bird pricing. Retailers can attend for absolutely $0. We can't discount that any deeper than that. We know how hard your business is, and it's tough for you even to take the time and expense to leave your shop. But if you don't pick your head up over and look over the wall and see what's coming and try to do it alone, you're going to be very sorely mistaken on that. So bringing this community together, we already have retailers coming from Connecticut, Ohio, California, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, already signed up. We're going to continue to build this audience. We're going to continue to be of service, and we look forward to having Meet Unshackled on the show floor, and maybe I can even get an interview in with you guys this year.
No, absolutely, George. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you there, and you and I could talk about what Maslow left out of his pyramid above self-actualization, which is somewhere where I'm at now. Sorry, I just had to add that at the end there. We'll see you soon, brother.
You got to start with self-love, brother. Got to start with self-love.
Love and belonging is like beneath self-actualization. I was just trying to figure out what's above that, because that's where my journey is.
Enlightenment, right? It's enlightenment. And so let's do some hero doses of shrooms together and figure it out.
All right. We'll see you soon.
All right, brother. Take care.